Egg coffee is one of the drinks you'll hear about again and again when you visit Hanoi. But once you get to the Old Quarter, there's so many places selling it that choosing one can be actually confusing. Hi, I'm Mai from Mai in Vietnam. As a local who has been working in travel industry for over 15 years, I'm here to share you all the insider tips for your trip to Vietnam and beyond. So today, I'm trying 3 famous egg coffee cafes, all within walking distance of Hoan Kiem Lake. Café Đinh, Café Giảng, and Café Phố Cổ at the 11 Hàng Gai Street. I'm looking at how easy they are to find, what the atmosphere is like, and how the coffee actually tastes, and the most importantly, what kind of traveler each cafe is best for. Let's start with Café Đinh. Café Đinh is just a short walk from Hoan Kiem Lake, but even though the location is very central, the entrance is surprisingly easy to miss. From the street, it doesn't really look like the entrance to a famous cafe. You have to find a small sign, walk inside the building, and then head up a narrow staircase. And honestly, that's part of the charm. It feels less like walking into a coffee shop and more like entering an old Hanoi house. Once you get upstairs, the cafe is very simple. Small tables, basic chairs, all walls, and not much decoration. It's definitely not polished or modern. And depending on when you visit, it can also feel quite crowded, but that's probably exactly why people like it. It has that old Hanoi feeling that's becoming harder to find in the city center. If you are looking for somewhere stylish, spacious, or very comfortable, this may not be your first choice. But if you like a place that feels like a little hidden and very local, Café Đinh has a lot of character. I ordered the traditional iced egg coffee for 30,000 Vietnamese dong. Yeah, it's very cheap. Others drink here also at a very reasonable price. You order and pay upfront, then choose a table and wait for serving. Doesn't this egg coffee look tempting? On top, there's a thick, creamy egg foam, and if you look closely at the bottom of the glass, you can also see a layer of condensed milk. Since it's summer, I went for the iced egg coffee today, and surprisingly there's no unpleasant eggy smell at all. And if you are visiting Hanoi in winter, or if you simply prefer a warm drink, you can also order the traditional hot egg coffee. And if you don't drink coffee, many cafes also offer egg cream with cocoa, which is a great alternative. So, Café Đinh is really about the atmosphere. It's all simple, slightly hidden, and a little rough around the edges. But that's also what makes it interesting. If you want something that feels connected to old Hanoi, this is a good place to try. Now, let's move to the most famous name of the 3, Café Giảng. Café Giảng is also an easy walk from Hoan Kiem Lake. The sign is much easier to spot than Café Đinh, but once again, the cafe itself is tucked behind a narrow entrance. And compared with Café Đinh, you immediately notice that this place is much busier. The Café Giảng is closely connected to the history of egg coffee in Hanoi. It was founded in 1946 by Nguyễn Văn Giảng, who had worked at the Metropole Hotel, 5-star famous one. The drink became famous for combining strong Vietnamese coffee with whipped egg yolk and sugar. And today, Café Giảng is probably the name most international visitors know before they even arrive in Hanoi. So coming here is not only about drinking egg coffee, it's also about trying it at the place most closely associated with the original story. The atmosphere here feels very different from Café Đinh. It's busier, more energetic, and you will usually see plenty of international visitors. The cafe still feels traditional, but is clearly used to handle a lot of customers. So if you come at a busy time, don't expect a quiet coffee break. You may need to sit close to other people or just take whatever table is available. Some travel that makes the place feel exciting. For others, it may feel a little too crowded. They give you the menu, you order, and after finish the drink, you pay before you leave. Today, I ordered the iced egg coffee, which cost 4 to 5,000 Vietnamese đồng per cup. Of course, they also have a hot version, which I think is especially nice in winter. The egg cream on top is thick, rich, and really creamy. The best way to enjoy it is to take a little of the stronger, slightly bitter coffee together with the sweet egg cream, so the two flavors balance each other out. I think this version will probably appeal more to people who enjoy rich, creamy, dessert-like drink. If you normally prefer a strong black coffee with very little sugar, you may feel differently. What Café Giảng really gives you is the history. You are trying a coffee at the cafe most people associate with the drink origin. And for a first-time visitor, I think it's worth for the stop. But if you are mainly looking for a quiet atmosphere or a beautiful view, then the next cafe may suit you better. Our final stop is Café Phố Cổ at 11 Hàng Gai. And this one is probably the most interesting to find. Hàng Gai is one of the busiest shopping streets near Hoan Kiem Lake. But when you arrive at the number 11, you don't really see a cafe. You see a shop, and if you didn't know the cafe was here, you could easily walk straight past it. To get inside, you actually walk through the shop and continue into a narrow passage. Then you reach an old courtyard before climbing several flights of stairs. The whole journey feels a little secretive. And that's one of the things I like about this place. From the street, the building looks very narrow, but once you go inside, you realize how deep these old Hanoi houses can be. After climbing upstairs, the biggest difference is the view. Wow. You get a much more open feeling here, with views over the rooftops and toward Hoan Kiem Lake. So to compare with Café Đinh and Café Giảng, this cafe feels less about history and more about the overall setting. The entrance, the old building, the stairs, and the view all become part of the experience. One thing to keep in mind is that there are quite a few stairs. So this may not be the best option for anyone with the mobility issues. You order at the first floor and pay up front. Choose a seat, then they will somehow find you. The egg coffee here is the most expensive of the three, at around 50 to 55 Vietnamese thousand dollars, but the serving is also a little bigger. After trying egg coffee at all three cafes on the same day, I have to say, as someone who is not coffee expert, the difference in taste are actually quite small. They were all really good. This one has the same basic structure, a thick whipped egg cream on top and the coffee underneath. It's rich, creamy, and very enjoyable. So in terms of taste alone, I honestly think all three cafes are quite close. But at the 11 Hàng Gai, I think the location is the big part of the experience. You are not just coming here for a drink. You also coming for the hidden entrance and the old building and the view. So after trying all three, I don't think there's one cafe that will be the best for anyone. This really depends on what you care about most. If you want an old Hanoi atmosphere and would choose Café Đinh. It's simple, a little hidden, and feel less polished than the others. If history matters most to you, Café Giảng is the obviously choice. It's the most iconic name and the place most closely connected to the origin of egg coffee. And if you care more about the setting and the view, then 11 Hàng Gai is probably the most interesting experience. If you have time, you can also visit all three. They are close enough to each other that you can easily turn this into all things egg coffee around Hoan Kiem Lake. Now, I'd love to know what matters most to you when choosing a cafe. Is it the taste, the atmosphere, the history, or the view? And if you already tried a coffee in Hanoi, tell me your favorite place in the comment. Thanks you for watching. And if you are planning your first trip to Hanoi, check out my other Hanoi travel guides for more local tips. See you in the next video. Bye!